What's up, gamers? It's your boy JKon. Welcome to another video. With the 2024 VCT season right around the corner, I thought it'd be fun to go through my pick'ems for the kickoff tournament and see how many of them I can get correct. Of course, my pick'ems may not 100% be correct because of course we have not seen all these teams in action, especially with all of their new additions, but I thought it'd still be fun to go through it nonetheless. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz, as it does really help me out and I appreciate it greatly. Also, feel free to comment any other video topics you want me to cover, as I would love to increase my production on this channel. Now, without further delay, let's get into it. Of course, we're going to have to start out with my home region, the Americas. So here in Group A, the opening matchup between NRG Esports and Furia. I'm going to have to go with NRG. Overall, the Furia roster that's coming into this roster, I'm not super confident about it. I feel like teams built around MW when he is on main duelist don't necessarily always succeed, and I'm not super high on this team overall. NRG put together the NA super team in my eyes, so I would be really shocked if Furia took this matchup. Next, we have Cloud9 versus MIBR. Unfortunately, like their Brazilian brothers, I am also not super high on the MIBR roster. They did make a few additions that I was kind of iffy about overall. I do like how they kept a lot of their young guns on the team, because I think developing young talent is really good. And we've seen in the past that Brazilian esports really do reuse a lot of the same players. So it's nice to see some young guns stick around. But I think I'm going to go with Cloud9 here, just because we've actually been able to see them play a little bit more. Yeah, they did struggle a little bit in some of the off-season third-party events, but I just think C9 are better than people expect. And I for sure think that they're going to be better than MIBR. We go on to the winners matchup between NRG and Cloud9. I'm going to go with NRG just because it's NRG. Statement stands. We'll go on to the elimination down here between Furia and MIBR. I'm going to go with Furia. I think Furia has a little bit more firepower than MIBR. If Havoc and Liazi show up during the day, especially Havoc, I feel like Havoc hasn't been able to transition completely, but he did have a lot of hype behind him. So I think if he shows up for that day, they'll pretty easily hand it to MIBR. Now the question is, will Furia versus C9 go the way of the Brazilians? I am not confident on their ability to get past them. They only have their coach Koi, so although they will have kind of the break and VODs to watch, I don't know if C9 will necessarily have a ton that they would need to show against MIBR. Unfortunately for the Brazilian teams, I'm going to go with Cloud9 here. Moving on to Group B, Loud versus Sentinels. Now, Group B is the group of death. I think this is such an insane group that is battling out here. There's 6 world champions in this group, which is insane. Sentinels look pretty good in their offseason. I believe that they will be sticking with Zelsis, which I think is a really good decision because he does fill in a lot of the gaps that we're kind of missing, and he is that gel and vibes guy, and he is that loud personality that I think every team needs. But Brazilian fans rejoice. I'm not doubting Sadak. I'm going with Loud. Loud did make 2 changes, losing Aspas and Fraud. Fraud made his way over to MIBR, and Aspas, of course, went to Leviathan. And yes, losing the firepower of Aspas is crazy because he is one of the best players in the world, one of the best duelist players in the world, and losing that kind of talent is very difficult. But I believe in Sadak's ability to create a good system. We also saw Kalanzin rise to be a top initiator player at the end of 2023. Les is still a world-class Sentinel player and player in general, and should be regarded as one of the best players in the upper echelon. So I just think with Sadak and Les, you can't really go wrong, baby. So I'm gonna go with Loud. The next matchup between Leviathan and 100 Thieves, I'm gonna go with Lev. I just think Lev, although they made a late edition of Calm at around the same time as 100 Thieves did, I think a system of bringing in a new player versus a new IGL is going to be a little bit difficult to argue. Also, Lev pretty much built the super team of teams, quote unquote. The only player that I can see maybe struggling might be Tex, as he has not technically competed in the upper echelons yet, but can't really go wrong with Lev right now. So I'm gonna put Lev past 100 Thieves. Now the real question is, what happens between Loud and Lev? I'm gonna go with the experience of Loud. Although King has been freed from owner, I'm not super confident in his calling 100% because we don't know how he looks necessarily under it. I think he's an amazing fragging IGL, but I don't know how great of an IGL is. But who I do know is a great IGL is Sadak. So Loud is my pick there. Let's go to the elimination part of this bracket. Sentinels versus 100 Thieves. Sen is taking this over 100 Thieves. Sen just have more time put together. I also think Sentinels players are better than 100 Thieves for the most part. I do like the addition of Boostio. I think Boostio is a really, really good IGL, but I don't think EU is that much better than Derek. They're both very, very consistent players usually. Derek did have a very down year in 2023, so he's looking for a bounce back, but we'll talk about him later. But I really think if Bang can find his form again and be like a top player, and really my concern is going to be down to Cryo and Asuna. Cryo was a chamber merchant, let's be real here. And although he did pick up near the end of the year, I think for like LCQ and whatnot, he's just very passive as a player. And I don't know how they'll figure out how to balance it between him and Asuna, because Asuna does have a problem of overheating. The one thing I do like about 100 Thieves though with bringing in Boostio is that you have a loud personality that can help carry that energy now that they were lacking last year. If you look at the roster, Bang, Stellar, Cryo, and Derek are all quieter personalities. Mike's is a quieter personality. Asuna can get hype, but I would also consider him more like a quieter personality. So they didn't really have like a hype vibe guy, and I think Boostio coming in will help them out, but I don't think it'll be enough for Kickoff, so I'm gonna go with Sentinels here. Now the real question is Lev versus Sentinels. Where do you rate these teams against one another? The only thing that I would say is that Sentinels will now have maps of how Lev will play, and Sentinels have been put together longer than Lev has, of course, because we mentioned the comm change. Damn, bro. The copium and hopium side of me is saying like Sentinels will take this, but I think Lev has some shooters, bro. I think Lev has some shooters. I'm gonna go with Lev. Yeah, that's my group B. We're gonna go with Lev. Submitted. Moving on to Group C. Now this group is crazy just because EG gets a free pass. You are also in a group with the organization that went 0-10 last year until LCQ and went 0-4 at Champions. And then you have the newcomers in G2. Now, a lot of people are questioning all of these teams. Honestly, I think all of these teams have big question marks with them. I personally am actually quite high on Crew. I think their additions, like adding Shy, was really good. I think MTA has a lot of potential. Like, I think they had a sneaky good offseason, and I think a lot of people are kind of doubting them. I think I'm higher on G2 than Crew right now. I think I'm gonna go with G2. I've always been a guard fan. I've been rooting for the guard since day one. I love me some Trent, and they just added Leaf. Although Tex did have a really, really good season in tier 2 and they played very well, like you've been able to see the guard system be quite successful by swapping in duelists, right? They lost Saya player, they brought in Tex, still had very good success, won Ascension. I think this team is going to be a lot better than people are giving them props for. So you know what? Although I'm praising Crew, I'm going to go with G2 here. So the question is G2 versus EG. I'm going to go G2. Although EG only has to win technically 2 if they won this matchup, I think G2 can take the spot from EG. I just think EG, although I think a lot of people are probably sleeping on the roster, I really do, but I think it'll take a little bit of time for the roster to come together. And as we saw with EG from last year, they did take a little bit of time to come together and figure things out. So I'm just going to go with G2 here. And because of that point of needing more time, I'm going to go with Crew. I'm going to go with the Croupium here. I think Crew can take it to EG. So I'm locking it in. Crew is going in as my second team. And that's it. Those are the pick'ems for Americas. Cool. Locked in. Done deal. And that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know who you have progressing forward in the kickoff tournament, which teams you're rooting for, which players you're rooting for. Let me know if you have any questions going into the new season that I can help answer out. I would just love to hear what you guys have to say. I am super excited for this new season to begin. Of course, it's just right around the corner, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen. Anyways, thanks for watching. Until next time, stay hydrated. Peace.